As we've said with the blockchain, like everything is transparent, right? Like everything can be seen.
With YouTube, you're reporting posts for what? What are you getting out of it? There's moderating the platform. If you report a post and it's correct, you earn some rewards.
I've been in the game for 8 years. I don't think you guys understand how valuable what you just said was. That was probably the best breakdown of tokenomics I've ever had.
The reason why we're moving to Switzerland is because 1, they're blockchain friendly. 2, they have...
I want to just touch on that burn subject just so that people relate to it a little bit more. So as we know, there's a big hype around trainers. Let's say, for example, there was a limited edition, brand new, Michael Jordan signed trainer. So it's not brand new. He released his first ever contract he got with Nike. He had 100 of those trainers, right? They're valuable. Can we all agree? Yeah? Now, what if all of a sudden he decided, you know what? I'm going to actually destroy 50 of them. Now, those remaining 50 are clearly even more valuable. But then what if he said, I'm going to sell, I've got 50 left, I'm going to sell 10 of them, and then every year, I'm going to sell 1. Year 1, there's 10 out there. Year 2, there's now 11 out there. Year 3, there's now 13. By year 20, there's 20 trainers out there, and then the reserve ones that he's got, he burns them as well. What happens to the value of those trainers that are already out there? Bam! They're going to explode. That is how burn supply, does that make sense to people, yeah? Okay, brilliant. So in terms of the dangers, what would you say are the dangers if I'm brand new to this space, I don't know anything about tokenomics, I don't know anything about crypto, what is the one thing that you wish you could say and help people know?
The one thing I would say that comes to mind straight away is looking at the token distribution. So what will usually happen, so for example, like let's say like a project is released and the tokens are released to the public in an IEO or ICO or whatever. You do need to look at how many of these tokens will be allocated to sort of like the owners of the project themselves. So for example, something like Solana, I think their sort of like token allocation to like investors and early sort of like, people that got in early is, I think, touching almost 50%. That's something to be mindful of. And the reason you have to be mindful of that is because if you're going to get in early in a project at like a pre-seed round, first, second round funding, you've got in at a time frame where you've got the token for a fraction of the price that will be released to the public. So what will usually happen is when the token is now released to the public, you're going to dump all of those tokens onto the general public, which means that anyone that's got involved in the sort of like public offering phase, your tokens are now almost worthless. So yeah, that's probably the major thing. And all of these stuff is available, like is all visible by going onto the project's website or literally just looking at the blockchain analytics site itself, like Etherscan or whatever. You can literally see the token distributions. But yeah, that's the main thing.
So after I got the question, what I done is I went in my phone and I brought up my tokenomics, right? So that you guys can have like a real life look at what tokenomics look like, right? And with this tokenomics, I raised nearly $1 million. So the tokenomics distribution looks like this. So we're creating this social media platform, right? That, empowers musicians and stuff like that. Where are we going to distribute the tokens? How is it going to work? What is it going to look like? This is what we done. We said 33% of all of our currency is going to sit in the treasury, first of all. The reason why it sits in the treasury, right? This is an issue with tokenomics.
I want to explain what a treasury is as well.
Yeah, well, a treasury is the same thing as it is in the real world. Everyone knows that, like NHS has a treasury, right? So the treasury is so large because these tokens are governance. So that means Spotify could come in and buy governance and have a say in what happens over here. So we need to make sure that we have a decent treasury to avoid any sort of takeover in that sense, right? And then the treasury, you can dip into it for legal stuff and maybe some other stuff, right? Then we've got 15% for funding. Funding's only 15% because we want the platform to be community owned, right? This 15%, the majority will go to venture capitalists and investors, right? We don't want investors and venture capitalists owning the platform because this is what they do today, right? We're trying to get away from that, right? So we've only got 15%. I've used 5% of that, right, to raise just over $500,000. So I have 10% left now to raise funds, right, without going to anywhere else. Then team members have 16%. So me and my team, We hold 16% of the governance, 16% of the tokens and what happens, right? Then we move on to 17%, which goes on into marketing and community development, right? So these things include PR, press, advertising, media, partnerships, industry influences, major artists. This is from a currency that we've created.
How does that work? You give the tokens to those people in the press and you go, look, here you go. If you write this article or if you're a YouTuber, we're going to give you these.
Either. As I said, I've sold 5% already, right? I've used that to travel the world, connect networks, create events, join events, do activations. You're able to convert cryptocurrency to fiat if you need it to, you know? I wouldn't always suggest that. I'm more of a cryptocurrency kind of person than a fiat kind of person. But if you do need to exchange your cryptocurrency or your tokens for actual money, just go to Coinbase or go to somewhere. But just understand that you're going to have to talk to the tax man at some sort of stage. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to answer your question, you know, if Cardi B came on the platform, I would offer her tokens, yeah, first of all. You know, I'd offer her tokens first. If she wants, you know, fiat money, then we're going to have to go into rather converting the tokens, which may affect the price, or, you know, getting the fiat from somewhere else. Just to close it down, because I know I don't want to, but I'm trying to give the people real life look into tokenomics, right? We've got another 15%. So after that 17% that goes into marketing and community development, we've got another 15% that says ecosystem and rewards. So if you say share Can I Store to your friend and incentivize them to sign up, you can earn some tokens for that, some governance. That's voting rights. Do you understand? There's moderating the platform. If you report a post and it's correct, you earn some rewards. So, you know, with YouTube, you're reporting posts for what? What are you getting out of it? You're cleaning up. Like, you know, you're sweeping someone's front room for what? So on the platform, you earn rewards, right? And then we've got the final 4%, which is for advisors, right? So what kind of advisors would I have with my type of platform? I would have blockchain advisors, I would have advisors from the music industry, and I'd have financial advisors, right? And that's 4% allocated to them. So that's what tokenomics looks like from a real point of view, right? And this is what distribution looks like from a real point of view.
Nice, thank you. What a breakdown, wow. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take some questions from the audience. I know it's a bit of a deeper one and it's the last session, so let's get some questions. Young lady there.
I think this might have been mentioned before I kind of joined the audience, but I think one thing that's not quite clear to me is how you prevent people from buying up the governance tokens. So like if someone buys up like 100 of them, they have more voting power than everybody else. So don't we have the same inequity and inequality we have in the real world, if that's possible?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, to be honest. Firstly, it would be extremely expensive to sort of buy a percentage of the governance tokens in a project where you basically dictate everything would be really expensive. Secondly, as well, as we've said with the blockchain, like everything is transparent, right? Like everything can be seen. So as soon as like this sort of move was sort of taking place, whereby this user is sort of like acquiring these tokens up to the sort of like level that it poses a threat to the actual ecosystem itself, that project is probably likely to be exposed and it will probably just go to zero because it no longer has credibility.
Yeah, I would say one of the things to touch on, to look for, is exactly what this gentleman's project does, where they have a certain amount of tokens locked in the treasury. So that percentage that's locked in the treasury is so important, because if a company's only got 5%, 10% locked in the treasury, and then they've got 45% available for investors, what does that mean? That means they do not care about the community. That means they're like, yeah, let's get as rich as we can, sell all these tokens to the investors. Then what are the investors going to do? They're going to dump it because they're going to take their money as soon as it gets listed. And that's what we see often and a lot of the time. So that example that you get is an incredible example of the kind of ratio that it should be. Yeah, question?
So one of my favorite quotes that I always say to people, yeah, is that it's the blockchain, but real business happens off-chain. I've been in the game for 8 years, right? I don't think you guys understand how valuable what you just said was. That was probably the best breakdown of tokenomics I've ever had. And I'm a real practitioner of the markets. I've put in 10,000 hours into understanding collectively Web3, blockchain, trading, investing, etc. And I don't think people deep how good that explanation was. So I just wanted to, it's not even a question, it's just like round of applause, bro.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Like, you really speak our language, so thank you, bro. That's it.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Big love,
Thank
big
you.
love, big love.
Yeah, no, really good talk. I'm curious, how do you navigate some of the legal issues like associated with DAOs, especially in the UK, such as like, conflict resolution, member rights, just these sort of various things. Like, what's your opinion on that? I know some people are very strict that DAOs as a whole are just illegal. I would say maybe illegal rather than illegal, but yeah, how would you sort of navigate that?
Brilliant question, man. So when I had initially created the tokenomics, big up Mo, he's the head of tokenomics at Animoca Brands. He actually helped me create the tokenomics for Can I Store.
Wow.
Now, essentially, right? Sorry, what was the question again?
About governance.
About DAOs. That's a great question, right? Because when I was creating the tokenomics, right, we were really worried about raising money legally. I was like, oh my God, a lot of people were saying, I've got this amount of money, I'm an investor, we want to give it to you, right? And at one stage, we had like 6.3 million in offers, right? So we're sitting down thinking, right, how can we legally do this, right? Then I spoke to a gentleman called John. He's one of the main investors in Matic and Polygon. And he said to me, look, Barry, just go. Just go ahead and do it. Sometimes you can spend a lot of money in legals and still get a fine. Do you understand what I'm saying? So instead of sitting there worrying about things, just go ahead, take that step. And I did. And during that time, I learned along the way as well. And now we've gotten into building the platform. Now we're thinking about incorporating. And imagine that, on the blockchain, we raise finance before incorporating. Ain't that crazy? Crazy, right? So now that we are going to incorporate, we're not incorporating in the UK. We're not incorporating in the UK, not because I don't want to pay tax, yeah? It's the legalities, right? There's other countries that their regulations are welcoming for the blockchain, right? Places like America, they're making everything a security. They're saying, look, we don't want this here, right? It's a risk to us for some reason. But places like Switzerland, Singapore, places like that, Dubai now, yeah, they're welcoming this industry. And they're saying, hey, just come, incorporate here. It's legal. Do you understand? Bring your money over here. So we're going to Switzerland, right? And we're incorporating there at the moment. I'm currently raising funds to complete that move to Switzerland, because the reason why we're moving to Switzerland is because, one, they're blockchain friendly. Two, they have a structure that welcomes DAOs, for example, right? You have the Swiss DLT law, you have something called a DAA, which is an association. You have non-profit organizations. All of these things you can use to represent your DAO or be that physical entity in the real world that represents your DAO. So the question is the UK at the moment is not set up to really control DAOs. You have to really look around the world.
I think that's why you need DAOs, because you just have to ask yourself and check yourself, when was the UK really set up for anything? Because last time I checked, when it snowed, we got a problem. When it gets hot, we got a problem. We're not quite set up to handle most things. So hopefully that can happen if politics changes and all of a sudden we have governance tokens and we can vote on things properly, and people can see people's votes in their local communities on chain. I think that's the kind of future that we're going to end up going towards, where actual things in actual boroughs, in actual communities, in real time, you'll be able to see the people voting for what they want, and then it'll be a case of being able to actually see where politicians actually spending the money, rather than being told, oh yeah, there's £10 billion of funding that has gone to this. Okay, where? Show me. So yeah, obviously you can get these reports that apparently say where it's going, but there's no proof. That's the difference with blockchain, the proof. So yeah, I think that is a wrap. Any closing words from you, gentlemen?
One more thing I would like to say, especially to the people that, really want to build on the blockchain, is that we've got quite a few connections to grants, right? So we have grants available for people who want to build on the internet computer blockchain where I am. There are 5K grants and there's 25K grants. There's also grants available for community projects as well. You can actually speak to Terry about that. He's right there. So
before the ladies go, I think we need to tell them something. By the way, ladies, I don't know if you know, but there is actually companies and blockchains out there that will pay you for gathering together and talking about their blockchain. So if there's 3 of you or more, there's grants that you can get. It's called Crypto and Coffee, where you can just literally get together, show that you're talking about it, just a little video, and they will send you $30 just for being together talking about their crypto. So go and look into that before you leave. Any closing words from yourself?
No, I just feel like blockchain or crypto is just something that everyone should get involved in, to be honest. Like, I feel like it's literally as a technology, it might sound difficult hearing it for the first time, but I feel like it's literally just pretty much a game changer. So I feel like, yeah, everyone should get involved in it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Round of applause. Thank you. End of the day.